And welcome back to MSNBC's live coverage of the Republican National Convention. You are looking at live pictures inside the Excel Center where Senator John McCain is expected to appear any moment. Oh, there he is, flashing his trademark grin and giving a thumbs up, along with his wife, Cindy McCain, and Rick Davis, campaign manager. And Joe Lieberman, his buddy, is there as well. He's also just hugging Mark McKinnon, media advisor to President George Bush's campaign, and has been helping him out on this speech. What's going on here is that, like many of the other speakers, they come out and they get a feel for the stage, get a look at the teleprompter, get a feel for the center that they'll be speaking at, and that's what John McCain is doing right now. They have changed the stage for tonight. There is Mark Salter, who is also his longtime chief of staff in the Senate and also co-authored many of his books. Along with Senator McCain, his wordsmith, his chief speechwriter, and some say his alter ego to some degree. So there you see this different type of podium. It is actually, it's not quite the theater in the round, but it is a T-shaped or L-shaped, it's been described, something that juts out from the main stage because they want to place him more around the convention delegates. Sort of like a baseball mound, if you will, something that George W. Bush, a new sort of a theatrical move, if you will, that he used in 2004 at the convention that was engineered, designed by Mark McKinnon, who is now advising Senator John McCain. So you can see they're just pointing out to him here some of the differences. And looking at the teleprompter, you know, some have talked about that this is not John McCain's best setting, that he's not great at delivering a speech off teleprompter. He likes the town hall format, of course, like in New Hampshire and all these states, where he takes questions from the audience. But you can see, look, he's practicing delivering his tough lines, as Pat Buchanan was talking about last night. When you've got these teleprompters on the sides of each of you, it's on the left and the right, you can read different parts of your speech, but then you got to deliver the real tough lines right down the middle. You got to remember them. See? There's Lindsey Graham putting his hand down on how to talk. These are the three amigos. John McCain's best friends, Joe Lieberman and Lindsey Graham. They're with him, kind of joking around with him. Lindsey Graham is also going to address the crowd tonight. These men are also his frequent traveling partners. And as we watch John McCain here to sort of get a feel of the stage, I want to bring in NBC's Savannah Guthrie, who has traveled to Wasilla, Alaska, of course, the hometown of Sarah Palin, Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska. And Savannah, I don't know if you can see these pictures, but John McCain has got a big task tonight because his VP pick delivered a stem winder last night.
I can't see the pictures, but I can tell you that people here in Wasilla feel that Sarah Palin stole the show, and it would be very hard for John McCain to follow up on that performance. But of course, that is the task before him tonight. And of course, he's out there on the stage getting ready, getting a lay of the land, and probably hoping he won't run into the teleprompter problems that apparently she did, although it was imperceptible to the audience I watched the speech with here in Wasilla. They were, of course, completely enthusiastic and very enthralled to see their hometown girl on that stage.
And we were just looking at pictures of, we just saw the back of Andrea Mitchell's head, of course, our intrepid reporter asking McCain a question as he is up there on the stage. Savannah, I have to ask you, because one of our fellow journalists dubbed the phrase last night that Sarah Palin was the killer from Wasilla, which I know you would appreciate, that turn of phrase, yes, and you're there in Wasilla. I'm curious, as you were hanging out at the bar with the people up there from Wasilla, did they say that Sarah Palin is tough? What do they say about her character?
They say she's very tough, and that obviously was very evident in her speech last night. And it seemed like the people watching the speech really got a kick out of that. They enjoyed the rest of the country seeing the Sarah Palin that they know. And they said, quite frankly, when she took over as mayor, she shook things up. It took a little while to get used to her. She's somebody who's made a lot of enemies, quite frankly, in this state. And in fact, McCain's team has some folks on the ground here in Alaska because they are anticipating that there's going to be some pushback, that people are going to come out of the woodwork, that there are some enemies who are going to come out with tales to tell, and they're trying to be aggressive about it and launch some preemptive strikes and talk to reporters so that they can get their side out of it. But there's no question that Sarah Palin is tough. She's unafraid, as some of the folks here will tell you. They also said, and this was really interesting, at the end of her speech when the family came out and you saw all, she took the baby and she held him, I heard one man mutter almost to himself, she can take care of her family. There's no question in my mind that a lot of people here aren't pleased with the way the media have portrayed her, questioned her credibility or her commitment to her family. They feel that Sarah Palin is up to the task.
Sure. Savannah Guthrie, great to see you. Thank you so much. And I want to bring in Ralph Reed and, of course, Kevin Madden, Republicans here to talk about what John McCain needs to do tonight as we see and continue to watch these live pictures of him just sort of practice there at the podium in what has got to be the most important speech of his political lifetime at 72 years old. This is a long time in the making. He's been campaigning for a long time for president. Ralph, let me start with you. Sarah Palin, no doubt, energized social conservatives. What does McCain need to do tonight?
I think he has to do three things. Number one, he needs to fill out the introduction of himself to the broader electorate. I mean, it's easy for those of us that are political junkies or who are in the business, either on the journalistic side of the ball like you are, or those of us who are operatives. I mean, obviously, we've known Senator McCain for years, but other than those who participated in the primaries, there's a lot of people who are going to first start paying attention tonight. So he needs to talk about the life experiences that shaped him, how he became the man he is, talk a little bit about what he's accomplished over the course of his career. Secondly, he needs to lay out a bold vision for the future. We can't just criticize Obama. We've got to have a bold, forward-looking reform agenda, because elections are ultimately about the future. They're not about the past. And then thirdly, I think he does, with a little bit more of a velvet glove than Palin did, he needs to define Obama.
Kevin, let me ask you about that. Ralph called it the velvet glove. Some people said it was maybe a velvet hammer, as the phrase, as you know, has been used with Tom DeLay. And what was it that I read earlier, that she is like a moose going after cabbage? Clearly an Alaska reference, but I had Senator Murkowski on who said because a moose can destroy a garden. Does McCain have to sort of take it back a couple notches tonight to make sure the swing voters don't get turned off?
Right. I don't think that you're going to hear a lot of partisanship. I think that John McCain has a hard time delivering partisanship. It's counter to the brand that the American public has recognized with John McCain. They see John McCain as always putting the country first. That it's not about party, but instead it's about having the judgment to do the right thing. And I think what John McCain is going to try and do is answer a lot of the questions, answer a lot of the anxieties that Americans have on the big issues, and doing so through his biography. Pointing out a life experience of accomplishment as well as a life of having put the country first.
Does he have to, in this speech, defend in some way Governor Palin because of the focus on her experience and on the vetting process? Does he need to address it, Kevin?
I don't believe so. I think what Governor Palin did very well last night was show that she's perfectly capable of defending herself, and that she has the reform and maverick streaks that are quite complementary to John McCain. And what the folks in Wasilla know is exactly what the folks of America are going to learn very quickly about Sarah Palin. That the way she shook up Wasilla, she's going to shake up Washington. The fact that she is probably about as far away from the Beltway as you can get is a very positive attribute, and it's going to settle very well with voters.
Ralph, after this convention, John McCain and Sarah Palin traveled to Michigan together. Sarah Palin was a surprise choice, a shocker to a lot of people.
Right.
Where does she help? Does she help in places in Michigan? I mean, from an electoral strategy, tell me, when you saw that he picked her, what did you think about in terms of a political pick, just from a political campaign decision?
Well, I think she really helps among three groups of people in the battleground states. Number one, she's going to help among soft Democrats, especially those swing, so-called downscale or hard hat union member Catholics. Remember that Barack Obama lost the Catholic vote to Hillary Clinton in the Pennsylvania primary by 40 points. Every one of these key battleground states across the Rust Belt has a large Catholic population, including Michigan. Secondly, social conservatives, evangelicals. You think of them in the Upper Peninsula, Grand Rapids and surrounding area, having a huge turnout. And then thirdly, I think women. If she can help him close the gender gap, which was only 4 points 4 years ago and has yawned as much as 15 points during this campaign, it can make a real huge difference. And I think that if you look at